Greetings and welcome to the little town of Burgess Hill. Come and join me as we drive back to Brighton. I'm going to be discussing all the videos that I've put out this week. We're going to be talking Russell Brand, talking 20 mile per hour speed limits, Julia Hartley-Brewer, we'll get into Rupert Murdoch leaving as well, and maybe a little bit of Sarkar and Rory Stewart. Come and join me. So, as always, with my Drive Me videos, I'll be time-stamping the various topics that I talk about. So, if you want to skip ahead to a certain topic, you can do so, or come and join me for the full journey. That's quite relevant, because I guess the first topic that I'm going to get into is a little bit of housekeeping. Let's just get on the move. I want to talk a little bit about the channel. I'm monetised again. Regular viewers of the show will know that the last 2 months I've not been monetised. I've not been getting any advert revenue from YouTube at all. And finally, the 2 months is up and I've been able to reapply and I'm monetised again, which is great news for the channel because, well, basically I'll get into the facts. I was a little bit naughty. I hold my hands up for why I got my monetisation taken away. Those of you may know a little bit about YouTube and the fair use policy on using copyrighted material, so it's okay to take news clips and things like that as long as you're putting your creative input into it, which is what I do the majority of the time. But I stupidly put a video up of Alistair Campbell on the news talking about Brexit, and I didn't put my insights into it. I just put it up as a short, and I guess YouTube took notice of it because it got about 700,000 views. They thought, hang on, this ain't right. So I hold my hands up. I went against the copyright laws. You know, I went against them. But I did find the punishment a little bit too severe, to be honest. So 2 months. So they took my monetisation away, and I couldn't reapply for 2 months. I thought that was a bit of a hefty. I mean, why not just a week? Just a week. Delete the videos, and then, you know, because we both lose out. You know, YouTube take the majority of the cut from bloody advertising revenue. You know, we both lose out money from it. So I would have thought they'd want me back on, but I suppose a week is not a severe enough punishment because I won't be doing it again because I don't want another 2 months. But I'm back. I'm monetised again, and going forward, you know, this is great news. Those of you that have followed the channel for a while know that. You know, I run my own full-time business, so that takes the majority of my time, and sometimes YouTube can encroach into that area. But I need to find. I've found the right balance, and going forward, I'm going to make it a lot easier on myself. So now I'm actually getting a tiny little bit of revenue from YouTube. This is gonna. I can reinvest that into the channel. There's things that I desperately need to be able to allow me to have more time to put videos together, and equipment is one of them. First of all, I want to change this camera because you know, it kind of decides when it wants to be HD and when it's not. Usually at high speeds it doesn't like being HD, but mainly my computer equipment. At the moment I'm editing on like a 10-year-old MacBook, and it's so painfully slow, and these are the things that slow me down from putting content together and stop me from putting content, and what interfere with my day-to-day business because it takes me so long to put together videos. So I desperately need new computer equipment. So if I'm getting money from YouTube coming in, I can reinvest that in the channel. And what I intend to do going forward is during the week, I'm gonna, if I get a setup with a decent microphone at home, decent camera, I can do some quick videos in the morning. I can react to the latest news topics and all these sort of things. And then on a Sunday, like I'm doing today, this is Sunday morning, hopefully I'll get back if it doesn't take me like 2 hours to bloody edit the thing. When I get back on every Sunday, I want to basically release a video like this, which is a long drive, where I can discuss the videos that I've put out during the week. I can discuss various interesting comments that I've had on those videos, or have my opinions changed, or has new news come to light on those topics, which is what I'm going to do today. So going forward, it's going to be exciting. This is the first step. Monetize now. I want to build up and get some new equipment, computer equipment, so it allows me to be able to put more content out because it's going to be speedier. I can do it in a couple of hours in the morning before I go to work, and yeah, produce more content. So hopefully everyone will be happy. But if you want to support the channel, the best way you can do that is liking the video and just watch the videos. Just watch the videos. That's all I ask. I have got a membership. The membership is back on, so that, you know, that was another thing that got took away from the monetisation. I had people that were signed up for the membership. There are a few videos on there that I haven't released to the public. If it's popular, if people like it, I can put more videos out. I'll try and put some more videos out on there, but you can do that. I've put it at the lowest bar possible, 99p for a membership, so you can do that. I think you have to do it. I don't think you can do it on your phone. I think you have to be on a desktop or a laptop or something, but the join button should be down below. But yeah, best way you can support me is just watch the videos. Just watch them and like them. That's the best thing. Okay, so today I'm going to be going through my videos and different topics, and on the topic of monetisation brings me nicely onto Russell Brand. So Russell Brand released a video recently. He didn't really address any of the allegations against him. It was more just come on to Rumble if you want to watch my videos from now on. Now, for me, this is like the true test of Russell Brand and what he cares about. So YouTube have demonetized him. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't think I generally agree with that, really. You know, the guy's had allegations put towards him, but he hasn't done what I've done and gone against the YouTube rules. But they've demonetized him, and the British government, this is what's strange, have asked Rumble to do the same. I don't really understand the laws there of why or how they're able to do this. Maybe some of you guys in the comments might be able to put down what right the British government has to ask platforms to not monetize Russell Brand's over a documentary. You know, as far as I know right now, nothing's been put into a court, or I don't know. Maybe some of you guys know. Put it down below. But yeah, this is the true test, really, for me of what Russell Brand cares about. Does he care about money, or does he care about putting his views out to the public, to as many people as possible? Because if he decides to no longer put any videos up on YouTube, bearing in mind he's just been demonetized, he hasn't been taken off the platform, he can still put videos out on YouTube, he just doesn't get any money for them. YouTube is the biggest platform to be able to reach the most amount of people. So if that's what he cares about, if that's his motivation, to keep people informed, to keep people free thinking, as he says, he'd continue putting videos on YouTube, because you're going to hit the mass audience. You know, fair enough, you want to make some money, put some exclusive content on Rumble where you get some advert revenue, but if that's where you care, if that's what you care about, you should still be putting videos on YouTube. So it'd be interesting to see if he still puts videos on YouTube. What do you think of the comments? Put down in the comments if you think it's about the money for Russell Brand, or it's about putting his message across. Because this will be the test for me to see. Oh dear. So yeah, that was my video at the beginning of the week. Quite a divisive topic. I mean, my main grievances with the topic was that it just really pushed this sort of political tribalism, which I really don't like, where anyone that questioned anything about the video was damned and called a pro-rape and all this stuff. But that's the gutter of social media in general, isn't it? Yeah. So other videos this week, I touched on the topic of 20-mile-per-hour speed limits in Wales. My whole video was more or less my opinion as someone who drives professionally. You know, I'm not no George Russell or Lando Norris or anything, but I do drive for a job, which means I'm a professional driver. And basically my experience over Brighton having a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit over the last 10 years and how I felt about it. I probably, maybe in hindsight, should have done a bit more research into exactly what they're trying to implement in Wales, because I got a lot of comments from people in Wales saying that they're trying to do like a blanket 20-mile-per-hour speed limit on every road that's not a dual carriageway or a motorway. I need to look into this, whether this is the the case, because that's not what they do in Brighton. Brighton is very much just residential areas and in a city that's 20 mile per hour. Roads linking different parts of the city are 30 miles an hour and sometimes 40 miles an hour in some cases. I'd find it very strange if Wales are not going to recreate the same thing that has worked so well in Newcastle, in Brighton, in Portsmouth, in Warwick. It would be very bizarre if they went for a different route of just a blanket 20 mile per hour speed limit on every road other than dual carriageways. I guess I would understand why people might have grievances about that. Other comments I got, driving in lower gears is difficult in a petrol or diesel car, trying to keep to 20 miles per hour. Now, like I said, in Brighton, we've had 20 mile per hour speed limits for the last 10 years. I've only had an electric vehicle for the last 2. So for 8 years, I've had a petrol or a diesel vehicle, and I haven't experienced that. I haven't experienced any difficulty driving in a lower gear to keep to the 20 mile per hour speed limit. I could quite comfortably keep to it in 4th gear, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, people aren't lying, aren't they, when they put these comments in? I guess different vehicles harder than others. Obviously, an automatic's going to be easier to keep to 20 mile per hour than a manual. But this is the other grievances, isn't it? That it's difficult to stick to 20 miles per hour. You have to go down a gear. And then that leads to the other comment that I got quite a lot of, which is you actually burn more emissions by being in a lower gear and driving at 20 miles per hour. I don't see the evidence for that personally. Again, in the comments, if you think differently, please put it down. I'm always interested to hear your opinions. But surely just lower speeds creates lower emissions. If you're driving at a higher speed, you're going to be using more emissions. I don't see any difference in the rule there. I think that's pretty standard regardless of gears, right? Again, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm always happy to hear your opinions on this subject. So going on, my other video this week was the Novara Media with Ash Sarkar and Rory Stewart. I got some interesting comments from that video, differences of opinions. You know, lots of people, rightly so, don't want to hear anything from Rory Stewart, can't stand the man because of his links to the Tory party and most importantly, austerity. A lot of comments about his voting record and things like this. I'm always interested to hear comments from each side of the political spectrum. You know, I honestly do. I don't want to just stop people from talking because I don't agree with them, and in certain sense, passionately don't agree with them. I've just got a curious mind. You know, I remember back in the early days of YouTube when I used to work nights and I used to listen on headphones. It was quite a boring job. And in the early days of YouTube, you had some real out there YouTube channels, and you'd quite easily find sort of white nationalist stuff and things like that. And I was always just curious. I'm always curious just to think, you know, why do people think like that? And I used to listen to a lot of these videos. I used to think, I just want to get my head round why people think like that. And it's the same with like Rory Stewart. I'm desperate to know someone who seems quite a reasonable chap. He seems like a reasonable bloke when you hear him talk. How could he have gone along with Tory austerity? That's what I'm fascinated about. That's what I want to know, and that's why I want to hear from people like that. And I want to hear all different opinions from the political spectrum because I'm curious, I'm interested, I really want to know. But that is one area of that interview with Ash Sarkar that I feel I would have liked to have seen Ash Sarkar push him a little bit more on Tory austerity. You know, does he have any regrets? How does he feel about it now? Why did he go along with it? I would have liked to have heard a bit more about that. One comment that cropped up a lot in that video was his voting record, and this is a really interesting topic, voting record, because and Rory Stewart brings up the point in the video. I think the only time you can get angry about someone's voter record if it doesn't toe the party line, because, you know, whether you like it or not, this country stupidly voted for austerity. I mean, that is what David Cameron put forward to the general public for that election. He said we're going to tighten up the purses, you know, we're going to balance the books. That was his big thing, and he said it's going to be hard and we're going to have to make cuts. This is what people voted for, whether you like it or not. I didn't vote for it, and a lot of people didn't vote for it, but this is what people voted for. So Tory MPs, unless they're being asked to vote for something that wasn't in the Tory manifesto, you know, this rogue MP thing where, you know, MPs should just vote what they feel, is an interesting topic for discussion, because, I mean, they have to go along with the party line. The people that I know we're in this first past the post where we're supposed to vote for our constituent to represent us, but really, when people go to the voting booth on general election day, they're voting for the party, aren't they? They're not voting for the individual in their area, really. They're supposed to, but they're not. They look at all the different parties. What one am I going to part? You know, that's why we have manifestos, and that's why you read the manifesto. And if in 2010 David Cameron got voted in on a manifesto of austerity, can you blame Tory MPs for voting for austerity? This is what the public wanted. It's mental. But yeah, it's a really interesting topic on voter record for individual MPs. They have to toe the party line. They have to. And the only time that I put it into question, Iraq is a perfect example, isn't it? Situations like that are not in the manifesto. Each MP vote on your conscience, you know. But then Rory Stewart brings up the topic of basically if you do vote against the government, there's no career advancement. Well, most people's argument would be you shouldn't be there for career advancement. You should be there to represent your constituents. Who's doing that? No one. Everybody MP in there is there for career advancement, I think. Exceptions to the rule. Caroline Lucas, I mean, she's already at the top of their job. She's the only MP there, so she can't really advance any further anyway. Oh, lovely. Well, this brings me on to another one, actually. There was cyclists in a video this week, ride in tandem. That was a contentious issue. A few comments in the comment section of whether cyclists should ride single file or in tandem to feel safer. To be honest, as long as I can get through reasonably quick and they don't take the piss, I don't really care, to be honest. Cyclists don't cause me too many problems. I mean, what, you might get held up for like 30 seconds of your life, maybe, tops. I mean, this one's going to be a little bit tricky, isn't it, coming around these corners, because there's so many corners on this hill, so you can only really overtake on a straight. But you know what? Is my life collapsing because of a couple of cyclists? Maybe I might get home 30 seconds later than what I was going to, you know. I'm making a video at the moment anyway, so this is an interesting one. So if I dive into the middle here, that car's coming around. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous, isn't it? Well, I was about to see if these two were going to start. They are kind of going in tandem, aren't they? They're not in single file. But then you need to go into the opposite lane fully to overtake them, even if it is just one cyclist anyway. Anyway, you're not here for cyclist talk, or maybe you are. But these corners are tricky, because like there's no way I can overtake now. There could be a car coming around. I've got to wait to go right round the corner. Anyway, let's get on to the next topic. So, other videos that I discussed this week. Julia Hartley-Brewer on Talk TV. Talk TV will nicely bring me on to Rupert Murdoch afterwards, wouldn't it? But let's talk about Talk TV and this objection to a trans model being in an advert for a Braun razor. This is what my video is about. Julia Hartley-Brewer was very upset by a trans actor modelling razors, using razors. Now, this one is really interesting to me because on the whole trans topic and gender politics thing, you know, there's some areas, you know, the majority of it I think is a load of bollocks, but there are some areas where there is a discussion that can be had. You know, like women's spaces and in bathrooms, and men, not trans people, but men abusing new laws to be able to gain access. You know, there's a conversation to be had there. People using pronouns in schools, under 18s, you know, should be letting people transition under 18. You know, there's a discussion to be had there with children. There's a legitimate discussion to be had there. But this, from Julia Hartley-Brewer having an objection to a trans person being in an advert, it's just pure bigotry. There's nothing else. She is literally, and she said it herself in the video, she is just disgusted at the sight of a trans male. That's her objection. That's her only objection. Because why else would you object to Braun wanting to advertise to trans males who need to shave? Whether you like it or not, they need to shave. And the only objection that people like Julia Hartley-Brewer can have is just they just don't like the existence of trans people. That's the only objection. Because what? I mean, is your objection that you think young impressionable females will see that and think, you know what, I quite fancy chopping my tits off? Do you really think that that's going to cause that sort of trouble? I mean, it's mental. It's mental. It's just pure bigotry now, and this is what I really, really take exception to. Like I say, other areas there's a conversation to be had, but here you're just objecting to someone being trans. And like I say, we'll link over to Rupert Murdoch in a minute. It's Talk TV, but obviously you see this stuff in all the gutter press, in the Sun, in the Mail, GB News. And, you know, I often think about the individuals involved. You know, I'd love to get into the head of some of these people, like Julia Hartley-Brewer. I mean, I think Darren Grimes, take your pick out of any of these sort of GB News, Talk TV presenters. Are they invested in this cult? Are they generally of the opinion that, you know, they just hate trans people, or they just hate immigrants? Or do they know the game? You know, do they know the game that Rupert Murdoch is playing? You know, they want everyone angry, arguing with each other over trans and immigrants, because we're not talking about, you know, maybe even some of the things that Russell Brand is talking about. Big business, big pharma, you know, corporations screwing us all over. You know, we're not talking about those things where we're arguing with each other about trans people and immigrants. Do people like Julia Hartley-Brewer, Darren Grimes know that? Or are they just invested in this cult and they're just like a Daily Mail reader that's just absorbing all this shit and swallowing it up, and they're full-on cultists? That's what I'd love to know. I'd love to get into the head of some of these people. Recently on my video where I reviewed GB News, I actually put this question. You know, I was thinking, you know, do all the presenters know that it's shit? You know, when they do endless cock-ups and some of the stories that they cover, where they just do a wank fest over SAS British soldiers and stuff, you know, do they all go backstage and go, is it just me? You guys do know it's shit, right? Oh God, yeah, it's shit. Yeah, of course it's shit. Oh, bloody hell. I thought I was the only one. Or, like I say, are they really invested in this cult of just anti-trans, anti-immigrant? You know, it's interesting. And talking of Darren Grimes, bringing Darren Grimes up, and that links us on to Rupert Murdoch. So Rupert Murdoch has put out there that he's going to be standing down. I'm still waiting for the guy to just die, to be honest. I mean, how old is he now? How much poison does he have to insert into the world? He's standing down, apparently. I don't know anything about his son that's taken over. It's supposed to be one of his sons that's taken over. I think it's all quite secretive, really. They seem to keep their family life quite private. And for someone that's a massive fan of the show Succession, I don't know whether any of you guys have seen Succession, which is basically a show about Rupert Murdoch and his family and who's going to take over the business once Rupert Murdoch goes. I'm fascinated by this stuff now because I want to know what type of son is going to be taken over from Rupert Murdoch, because in the show Succession, each child is vastly different, and you could argue even... bloody hell, I've forgotten the names now. It was a while ago I watched it. The daughter was probably quite left-wing. The two sons, you know, maybe one more central, but the other one was definitely more on the right wing. Or it wasn't so much right wing, but just wanted the money, and that led along with right wing. But anyway, we don't know the political views of who might take over from Rupert Murdoch. There's a famous meme that's gone around, doesn't it? I don't know whether you've seen it, where it's the caption is, if Rupert Murdoch was liberal, everything's clean and everyone's loving each other and everyone's friendly and stuff, and it's like a futuristic world where everyone gets along. It's a funny picture. But imagine if someone takes over from Rupert Murdoch that is more liberal. It'll be interesting. I don't know whether it'll happen. You know, imagine if Fox News, Talk TV, The Sun, all the newspapers stopped with this absolute gutter right-wing garbage. Imagine the effect on the world. It'd be really interesting. I'd love to know a little bit more about The Sun. Maybe I could investigate. But like I say, I think Murdoch keeps his private life quite private, doesn't he? So I don't think I think it's quite difficult to find out about the family and the son that's going to be taken over. But anyway, back to Darren Grimes. So Darren Grimes on Twitter recently put out a post. Rupert Murdoch is a force for good in the world. I mean, honestly, and this goes back to the cultist thing. I mean, I can't see how he generally believes that. I can't see how he generally believes that. Does he want a job on Talk TV? He's probably only got like a little slot on GB News. Is he looking for a career advancement? Does he want to shift to Talk TV, get a primetime slot? What's behind that? Because, I mean, come on, give me some examples, Darren Grimes, please. Back it up. Put that statement there, but then back it up with examples where Rupert Murdoch has been a force for good. Give me some examples. Because you know what? All I see is goddamn disgusting news, some news headlines. Just take your pick. Bloody 1 in 5 Muslims are sympathetic with jihadis. God, that was one of the worst. And then, you know, the Hillsborough disaster. That's why the Scousers, God bless them. God bless the Scousers for never picking up a Sun newspaper ever again after they started reporting that Liverpool fans were picking the pockets of dead people at the Hillsborough disaster when they got crushed. I mean, how is this a force for good, Darren? Trying to start a race war. Absolutely just disgusting fake news about people from Liverpool. I mean, how is this a force for good? Please, let alone if we get into the bloody division that Fox News has created in America with guns and abortion and God knows what, partly responsible for the rise of Trump. Fox News, I mean, Trump said it himself years before he even became president. All you need to do to become president is get Fox News on your side and become a Republican. I mean, how, Darren? Please explain how as a force for good. Oh dear, it's just nonsense, isn't it? It's terrible. I generally would love to get into the head of some of these people on Fox News, Darren Grimes, Julia Hartley-Brewer. I'd love to know whether they really are cultists in this doctrine, or whether they know it's a sham and they're there for the money. Maybe a mixture of both. Who knows? So coming into Brighton now, coming down Ditchling Road. I think we'll probably wrap up the video. I think I've gone through everything that I want to go through. Again, I just want to thank everyone, all the subscribers of Van Man Talks, and for sticking by the channel during monetisation when I've took my gaps. When I get my new computer and equipment in, I will be editing my video that I done where I took my political social media break. I've got all the footage, but it's a long job to put it all together, and like I say, with my current laptop situation, it's going to take hours and hours. So I'm waiting to get my new computer equipment. Keep watching the videos if you want to support me and help me get that new computer. But yeah, so April, March, I took 2 months off from politics altogether, from social media, complete and utter political detox. I didn't do any videos on the channel. Again, that's why I thank you for standing by the channel. And basically I used that time to create, I started growing vegetables in the garden. I've created a vegetable garden. So I've got all footage of how I built it, how I put it together, and basically my opinions on what it was like to be completely politics free for 2 months and social media free. for 2 months, whether it's the best thing to do, whether it's because we have to deal with social media. It's just one of those things that we have to deal with now. I don't think you can shut it off completely. It's too difficult. It's too ingrained in life. It's like giving up a smartphone. You know, now more and more places you've got to pay with your smartphone and have this app. You know, you want to go to the football now, you got to download the bloody QR code and scan it and get in. You know, it's impossible now to live your life, and it's the same with social media. It's becoming more and more possible. And you know, someone that cares about politics and cares about what's going on in the country, it's hard to just take yourself away from that completely. It's really, really difficult. So I was always of the opinion that to not get too bogged down in politics and everything, it's good just to take a month or so off. But I don't think that's the right balance now, and that's why what I want to do going forward with the channel is in the mornings I'm going to get up a couple of hours before work with the computer, with the camera, with the microphone set up. I can put out a few videos in the morning, and then as soon as I'm done, I concentrate on work, I concentrate on the business. In the evening I get back from work, I spend time with my wife, my son, and then I just keep the politics, keep the social media to those couple of hours in the morning, and I think that will be the perfect balance for me. Obviously I'm still going to do the driving videos, don't worry. Like I say, once a week on the Sunday I'm going to upload it, but I think I might have found, once I get into it, I might have finally found the perfect balance of politics and social media. I want to try and delete those apps, the Twitter, everything, not get into it during the day. As soon as I'm done with those couple of hours in the morning, social media and politics are put aside. We'll see how it goes. Let's end the video, shall we? Thank you so much. If you watch the entire video, I appreciate that. If you skip to certain subjects, I appreciate that as well. I know I ramble on for ages, but what's this? Go on. There we go. Yeah, I appreciate I ramble on for a while. If you like the video, put a like up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe there. I'm going to put all the various videos that I've done this week up on screen. Links down below as well. I'll put a link down below as well on my views on LGBT. I'll go a bit more into it in a recent video that I've done. You can check that one out down below. Till next time, take care.